Well, hello there, friends. Welcome again to another fantastic show. We got the beef right here. Folks, for those of you that may have seen how I prepare those roasts, if you haven't seen it, go to the channel and look for how to prepare a beef tenderloin, how to tie a beef tenderloin. I don't know what we called it, but it's in there because this is really cool, okay? This is the Chateaubriand. This is the center cut. Didn't need to tie it, but I tied it anyway. It doesn't need to be tied. This is the center cut of the filet mignon. Okay, this is how it goes. Boom, boom. Like this, okay? And the tail end right there, I already ate it. Okay, but it was the tail end. But if you watch the how to prepare the whole tenderloin, I take it out of the cryovac and I clean it up and I do all this. I show you how to do it, okay? So you got to watch it, all right? But now all we're going to do, friends, we're going to cook it. Very simple, okay? Now, a beef tenderloin, now if I'm doing a rib roast, I'm going to do the reverse here where I start slowly and then I finish it at the end and create a crust. A beef tenderloin, I probably cook thousands of it in my career. And I'll tell you, I love it with a beautiful crust. Very simply, put it in the pan and pop it in the oven and rotate it constantly, twist it around, turn it around. It's fabulous. We put the salt already last night. So this is 24-hour salt. The salt where you put it in. And if you haven't watched the steak video, watch the steak video. We talk about all that. I'm not going to go over details about that anymore because for those of you that watch the video, I don't want to be redundant. I'm already redundant too often. So we put the salt on it overnight, and it's pretty dry. It changes color. It gets a little darker. And this is obviously a much bigger piece than this one. This one's going to cook in about 12 minutes. Depends how you like to cook. I would say about 12 minutes. And this one is probably going to take 18 minutes. We're going to find out. We're going to go exactly. We're going to time it, and we're going to write it on the recipe. I got cast iron pan with avocado oil in it. You could put clarified butter, but you don't get as good of a crust. So I got a high smoke point avocado oil in there. It gives it a really nice crust, and that's what we're looking for in here, the beautiful crust, okay? So, and we're going to do both of them in separate pan. And the reason why I did this one here, remember, this is the whole head. This is the whole head of the tenderloin. See right there? This is the head of the tenderloin. If I don't tie this, it's not going to cook evenly. The reason why I did this, because I wanted to show you when you do a tenderloin, you don't just use the Chateaubriand. You use the whole thing. And you're going to be amazed. I cut it. It looked like one perfect piece of meat, when really this is about 3 pieces of meat. At the head of the tenderloin, if you clean one, people said, oh, cut that up in stew meat. That is no good for stew meat. Absolutely not. Okay, salt we don't need. Pepper, we're going to add some. We're going to add some in a little while. We're going to put it in the pan. The temperature of my oil is about 360, 400 degrees. 360, 365. Make sure it's really hot. We're going to, yeah. Well, I'm not exactly at 360 yet, so I'm not going to touch it for a minute until it gets there. And this guy right there, and then so remember, got the salt already in there, so I don't need the salt anymore. All right? Now what we're going to do, we're going to put it in, and we're going to keep rotating it, okay? If you don't have a cast iron pan, don't worry. Get yourself a nice big stainless steel fry pan, okay? And the idea is to keep moving it around. Keep moving it around. We're going to create a really, really nice crust. If you want to reverse sears, you can do it. But I'm going to do the rib roast, and I'm going to show you all about that. For those of you that have been asking, oh, by the way, when you put the salt, you do it overnight. You do it on a rack, so it gets air circulation. For you, a lot of you have been asking about sous vide. We will do a sous vide, whole collection of recipe. I'm testing some machines right now, which one I like, which one I don't like better. So we're going to test them, and then I'll come up with some results. I'm going to say, this is the favorite machine, this is how we do it, and then I'll teach you all about it, okay? All right, so look, we're going to saute, we're going to get a golden brown on all sides. You put it in a pan, but remember, for the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes, don't touch it. Why? Because you want the protein to release themselves so it doesn't stick. It creates a better crust, I promise you. Okay, every day you can flip it around. You can flip it all you want. After you give it a nice crust, by all means, do flip it. But until you give it a good crust, don't touch it, okay? So see right there, it's sticking a little bit. And if you stick it, what happens is when you stick it, you bruise the crust you're going to be making. That's why I don't want you to flip it too much, okay? When you have a crust on it, don't worry, you can flip it all you want. Matter of fact, I want you to flip it when you have a whole crust in there. All right? See, it sticks a little bit. We're going to leave it a crust. So I'll tell you what, we don't want to make the video too long, friends. So I'm going to continue doing this off camera, so the video is not for 3 hours, because you're going to take time to do this. I want you to take the time to do it. And then we'll come back when it's nice and golden brown, and we're going to pepper them in the oven, okay? All right, friends, you see, it took about 4 or 5 minutes. I'm keeping flipping it. Look, you see? Constantly flipping it all the way around it. And now my oven is preheated at 450 degrees, friends. 450 degrees. I'm going to put them both in the oven, and I'll come back. And I'm going to show you how to flip them. We're going to flip them, okay? Well, we're going to continue flipping it. Here's one, and here's number 2. Boy, that pan is heavy. All right, we'll check temperature, and we'll be back when they're ready. All right, I'm going to flip them now, friends. Woo, yes. All I got to do is just flip them. Completely on the other side. I'll do that every 2 or 3 minutes. And flip them on the other side, 2 or 3 minutes, and flip on the other side so they cook evenly on all sides. All right? I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, friends, I'm going to take the little one out. I'm going to take the little one out. I'm going to let it rest. For a little while, we're going to let it rest. And let's look at the time, so we'll make sure we'll publish the time, exactly how many minutes it's been. And because it's really important, it depends on the temperature of your oven, friends. But we write that down on the recipe based on the size of it. Very important. We're going to let it rest. I took it out at about 118 degrees. We're going to let it rest. And now we can make a quick little pen sauce while we're waiting for the other one. There's quite a bit of fat in there. And we can get rid of some of that fat, friends. Let me get a cup in here. I'm going to get rid of some of that fat right there, some of that oil right there, just a little bit. And we're going to make a very simple pen sauce. There's a lot of goodies in there. So I got some, that's while we're waiting for the other one to, plus we're waiting for this guy to rest, right? We're going to make a really, really quick pen sauce, friends. And I got some shallots chopped right there. Very, very simple. This is a quick pen sauce. We have some beautiful sauces that we are starting to publish. You know, we did this sauce collection as we promised. We're starting to build it. We made a beautiful mushroom sauce that will be delicious with this. So we are just making a really, really quick pen sauce right here. It's very simple, friends. We deglaze all this with beautiful shallots. If you don't have shallots, use onion. Perfectly fine. Whatever herbs you want to use. You know, one of my favorite herbs is tarragon. But sage is wonderful, rosemary is wonderful, thyme is wonderful. Use whatever herbs you want to use in here. You could put a little garlic in there too if you wanted to. And we're going to reduce just a little bit of red wine in there. You don't want red wine? Don't worry. Don't put the red wine in there. Just put a little broth in here. This is just a really quick pen sauce. This is not complicated. Did I say put a little red wine in there? Yeah. Put a little red wine in there. Remember, whenever you're cooking with wine, friends, you want to let it reduce. Reduce, reduce, reduce. This is like a 2-minute pen sauce. Let the wine reduce. And then we're going to put a little bit of stock in here when the wine is reduced. We're going to let it reduce, reduce, reduce. We're going to put a bit of, I crushed some black pepper so I didn't have to turn. We're going to put a bit of black pepper in here. And don't be afraid of putting black pepper in here, friends. We're going to wait. We're not going to cut it yet. Got to wait about 10 minutes. Got to wait about 10 minutes. At least 10 minutes. And the idea, I'll explain so you understand it. All right, we're going to let this reduce now, friends. Let me explain you why. What happened is the outside, where the crust is, all the muscle fibers have released of their juices. There's no more juices in there because at that temperature, when you put them in a pan at 365, 400 degrees, all the juice escape. So now all the juices are in the middle of it. The juice in the middle, the meat is 120 degrees. They can hold all the juices in the world. When you let it rest, then it gets to 130, 135. Then the juice can come from the inside and redistribute more. So the muscle fiber on the outside can now take a little more juices, and that's how you do it. If you cut it right away, All the juice are in the middle because the juice goes in the middle. They don't go in the middle. They stay in the middle. That's where all the juice is. So if you cut it, you lose all that juice. Give time for some of that juice to go back on the outside that has lost all of its juice when you were cooking it and when you were brining it and when you sauteed in a pan, you lost a lot of the juices. So now let that juice redistribute from the center into the outside. So when you cut, it's going to be nice and juicy. All right? So we're going to let that rest. We're going to get that reduced. And then in a minute, we're going to take the other one. And the reason why I did both of them, I want to show you the difference. From the Chateaubriand center cut to one that is at the end where everybody say, makes two meat out of that. This is the head of the tenderloin and the tail. You can use both of them. The secret is to tie them very carefully. And exactly what we did. So we're going to show you what it looks like. All right? We're going to let that reduce. And we're going to come back in a few minutes and take the big one out. All right, friends. We're going to take out the big one now. And this one was in there. Whoo! Oh, a lot longer. So we're going to write down the measurement, the time exactly, and don't be afraid, friends. Everybody's like, "Oh, mamma mia, you poked all the juices out." No, you don't. You don't. You poked just a little bit of the juice out, so little you'll never know in a million years. Don't be afraid. This is very, very big, and you take a thermometer. It's much easier. Now, it's easier if you have a little steak. You can kind of guess what it's going to be. But a big roast like that, I'd rather you take a thermometer, my friend, okay? And don't be afraid. Right now, I'm looking at about 120. I'm looking for about 120. You got to be careful not to go too much. I'm 121 right now, 120, 121. Okay, I'm going to let it rest a little bit again. Same deal. You got to let it rest. You cannot cut them until you let it rest, okay? So... And the idea of this is to show you that you can use the head of the tenderloin like you can use the tail, the same exact way you can use the center cut. All right, we're going to let those guys rest. Okay, friends, so this one I'll rest a little bit longer. So we're going to cut that one first. And then we'll get to this one, we'll let it rest a little bit longer. The pen sauce that I did for us is very simple, just stalks, right? And shallots, and salt, and pepper. It's just a pen sauce. It's nothing. You can add a little cognac to this. It'd be delicious. Little cognac, right? If you have some. If you don't have any cognac, then bourbon, delicious. And I know you got butter. Just put a little butter in there, friends. Just a little butter. And remember, when you're putting butter, what you want to do, right? You want to mix it up right away so it does not have time to separate. It doesn't have time to separate here, friends. So make sure you put it in right away. Right there, you see? And then at the end, just a touch of a little tarragon, extra. Then it's not a time to cook. And this is just a plain pen sauce. Something you can do with that. Anything fancy. Right there, your pen sauce, put it right there in a gooseneck. And at the last minute, my friend, you pour this. Make sure you scrape all that goodies out of there. You pour this on top of your steak. And let me tell you, fabulous. Very simple, okay? Let's look at those steaks now. What do? At this point, after these guys rest, we're now going to take the twine off. It's very simple to take the twine off. There's a reason for everything we do. Very simple to take the twine off. Flip it on the other side. Grab the twine right there. Flip it this way. And now you notice is I'm pulling on it, right? So you pull and you cut. You pull and you cut. You pull and you cut. You put it down, grab this, and voila. All in one piece. All right? We're going to do the same thing over there. You grab it, flip it on the other side. You cut and pull. Cut and pull. And you pull at the same area, friends. Cut and pull. Cut and pull. Very, very simple. Just like this. So now we're going to cut the Chateaubriand, the center cut. And then we're going to cut this guy too. All right? So the first thing you do is take the Chateaubriand right there, friends, and voila. You got a beautiful, now you have a a crust on the outside, but it's perfectly cooked. As far as I like it, it's perfectly cooked for me. Okay, you want it more cooked, you cook it a little bit longer. You want less cooked, you cook it a little bit less. All right, now I want to show you. The whole idea was to show you about this guy. This guy right there is the head that is attached to the rest of the body. And that's what most people throw away. They, well, let's throw that away. We don't need it. We don't need it. We're going to make stew out of it. No, we're not. We're going to make a roast out of it. And if you cut right into it, you see right there, my friends, you also got the perfect cut right there. You see, now this piece right here, remember, we tie this guy together. But if you notice carefully, you can't really see. You know, I mean, they cook the same, but remember, this was tied together. This piece was tied together, and you can't really tell it was tied together. You see? Right there? That's the whole idea of tying it really, really, really nice and tight. You see? And so, the center cut, the Chateaubriand, beautiful. And this is the head that normally people tell you to make a stew out of it. I don't make no stew out of it. This is perfect. So you can serve this with your pen sauce that I just made a couple of minutes, some vegetables, some roast. This is beautiful. Really simple. So now remember, you can use the whole tenderloin. You don't have to use just the Chateaubriand. You can use the head and you can use the tail the way I showed you how to cut it. That's it. I hope you like the segment. Remember, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to give us the thumbs up and don't forget to ring the bell. You get a notification every time I put on a new video. Hope you enjoyed this wonderful video. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.